I hope everybody heard that.
Okay, however you got in, if we run out of time, go back to that link and click it again. And we will likely run out of time after all this. We spent half our time already that they allow for free.
Well, let's see, who do I have here? I've got Jay, Buffy and Lisa Lee, Lori, Mike, and Andrea. Well, hi, everybody. My goodness, this is the biggest crowd we've had in a while. Welcome to everybody. We are waiting for Michelle. Well, we won't wait for her, but we can get started. So we got a bunch of things that we would just like to rally around and discuss today. Just to update you, Jay and I have been having our formal committee meetings, but sadly it's only been the two of us. And I know people are busy with other things, and it's kind of hard to have a committee meeting when we really don't know what 2021 looks like. So we're opening up just some of the things that we generally talk about to anybody that wants to have input, because it's just nice to have different perspectives by different people. So anyway, if we could just do a very brief gratitude check-in. How does that sound with everybody? What are we grateful for today? So I'll start, and then I'll pass it on to someone until we all have had a chance to speak. Does that sound good with everybody? Okay. So I will start. Today, what am I feeling in my life, expressing gratitude for? I think the most important thing for me right now to state in my gratitude is feeling safe and feeling well. And I will just elaborate on those two things. I'm very thankful for my health, and especially during this pandemic and all around our community here, numbers have risen a lot. And within our own Six Nations community, we have managed to keep things in check. And so I'm really, really grateful for that. The other thing, fear. I was sort of living in a fear-based situation last week. And I'm proud of myself because, yeah, I was living in some fear and had some triggers over some personal things. And I'm proud of myself because I was able to manage my emotions and move forward out of them with the tools that I've been working on throughout my life. So I guess I can give myself a pat on the back for that, because it's not always easy to move through fear. And but we do know that we can move out of it. And I just want to leave it at that I have moved out of that fear. And I thank Creator for that, because perhaps at one time he put me in fear for a purpose. And here I am now at 67 years old, and I'm able to label fear and put a name to it, put some action plan into it, and move on. So that's a lot to say about being grateful for something, but I will pass it on to Andrea.
Do we have a mute option?
Yeah, I was just unmuting myself. A simple, when I was listening to Ellie, it's only been very recent, instead of anger, or I mean, instead of fear for me, it's actually anger. Like in the past, if I would get angry about, it's only very recently that I'm practicing what do I want to say? But being able to like recognize it and not identify with it so strongly. And I don't know. I heard, someone told me have an attitude of friendliness towards your emotions or something like that. And that's something very recently I'm trying to practice with, and I had just some very limited success practicing just in recent weeks with that. If I feel intense anger towards someone or about something, like I used to get like wrapped up in it too closely for too long and then feel a lot of guilt about the anger that I felt. But just practicing a little bit more, like watching the emotion come and pass and distancing myself from it a little bit and not identifying with it so closely and trying to have an attitude of curiosity towards it and like, why did it arise? And like, so I just practicing with some limited success myself recently with that too, but that's recent for me too. I didn't used to be able to even have limited success practicing with that until very recently. I recently started a new part-time job. So I during the week, Monday through Friday, I work half-time, like about 20 hours a week, doing computer work in the environmental conservation field as an environmental review specialist. But I recently started an additional part-time job on the weekends working as a companion caregiver for some people that are struggling with dementia and Alzheimer's. That are in living, they're isolated because of COVID-19 and their children live far away and can't be, like their children have jobs where they need, like one is a doctor in a hospital in New York City, so it wouldn't be the safest situation to have the mother living with her daughter because the daughter's coming home from the hospital and even could be like an asymptomatic carrier of the virus. But anyway, so I'm working for an organization called Touching Hearts at Home, and I'm really enjoying it. The two elderly people that I'm working with are really good fits for my personality, and it's really nice to share time. And, I'm learning a lot from them, just their stories and their wisdom and enjoying spending time with them and helping them out with like meal preparation and reminders and medication and things like that. So I'm really enjoying my time with the two people that I'm working with on the weekends now. So I'm really grateful for how that worked out. I think that's it for me for right now. Thank you.
So Andrea, if you could pass it on to another person in the group.
Yep, I'm sorry, I forgot. Buffy and Lisa Lee.
Hi, everybody.
Good to see you guys again. I'm gonna mute myself now.
Oh, my gracious. I personally never thought I would say this, but I am grateful today specifically for Zoom so we can finally say hello to you all. It feels like it's been forever and ever and ever, and we miss you terribly. And if they won't let us across the border, at least we can come via the airwaves. So that level of gratitude for this and the fact that you guys are still doing this and inviting us in is such a gift. And I think the other thing I'm grateful for is the fact that we live in a place where until now, COVID hasn't really touched us. And we've been able to just sort of do our lives by being able to be out and be on our land and doing chores and spent the summer gardening and all that sort of thing. And that level of freedom and not being stuck in an apartment in New York City is really, really something. I don't know what's going on. Okay. We may lose you, but Lisa Lee's going to talk next.
I've been really grateful for the knowledge or the practice of living in the present. I've always been a planner and sort of not lived in the future, but looked towards the future. And I am recently been learning to just, I have today is good. And what happens in the future, I'm not going to worry about because worrying isn't going to make any difference at all. And I've been really grateful to have Buffy during this time, and actually living next to my son and daughter-in-law and granddaughter has been a gift too. They live in an attached part of the house. But that not worrying about the future has been, I think, really important for me to learn. And I'm going to pass it on to Mike.
Oh, thanks a lot. Today was my last lecture this morning, and it was a pretty interesting semester. Doing Zoom every day is kind of an interesting way to go, and I must say that I'm very happy that my students were happy, and they said a lot of really interesting, really nice things about the courses. Friday's course, we're sad that it's over because Friday was the day we looked forward to. Today was the day when students said class was fun, thanks. You know, and it's, what more can you look forward to? Except now I get to look forward to marking 200 final papers.
Oh,
And then taking and transferring all of their tests and thought papers into their final grades and posting that on the registrar system. So, I mean, now the work begins. Teaching is fun, you know,
no.
it really is. Teaching is fun. It's the marking that is the work. And people don't understand what we do is that small portion of it is actually the teaching what you have to teach or what the course says, but the rest of it is the total administration of the students' files and their data, plus also the administration and the service to the university, as well as research projects that keep on ongoing as well that fills out the time. So it's kind of funny because people have this kind of impression that we sit around and we just get to the podium and we go, now class, this is what we're going to talk about. And that's all it's about, right? No. Oh no. I could actually work 7 days a week if I wanted to, really. And sometimes I think I need to. So I'm really happy that today was the last class. Now the work begins. Pleased to be here. My head is way over there with a whole bunch of students who are just like you, actually, all over the place. I've got a student from Sri Lanka who has to get up at 7, sometime like 7 in the morning to be at the 3 o'clock class. And I've got students in Vietnam and China and Vancouver and Buffalo and North Carolina. They're all over the place. So it's kind of fascinating to have that international vista to actually talk to about such important things as the act is that you have this scheduled for an hour. Is that right, Jay?
The free one, it cuts out after 40 minutes.
Oh yeah.
And then we'll log in again.
So here's what I tell my students. The Earth is traveling around the sun at 107,000 kilometers an hour. So there's 7.8 billion of us on Earth that are all going in the same direction for 107,000 kilometers. And the semester was 12 weeks long. That meant we went 217 million kilometers together on our orbit around the sun. I also tell them that it's been also calculated by smart people that with all the odds are, you have Lori, Jay, Ellie, Nancy, Andrea, and Buffy's phone. What's your names?
Buffy and Lisa Lee.
Buffy and Lisa Lee. Sorry, I forgot. You have defied 400 million to 1 odds of being born, of being here. The odds are 400 million to 1, and you beat those odds. And I think that's amazing. You know, and I tell my students that 400 million to 1 odds, you beat those odds, and we're here, and isn't that amazing? Traveling around at 107,000 kilometers an hour on our journey around the sun. Whoa. And then we're worried about now trying to figure out how we're going to go 60 miles from Cambridge to Port Maitland. Cool. Thank you.
Who?
Lori, you're on.
Somehow I knew that was coming. I am grateful for the opportunity over the last 3 days, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, to be engaged in the Indigenous Health Conference and to present with these two wonderful people, Jay and Ellie, and to give myself a break from all things COVID for a few hours. And one of the things that I heard during that time was a presentation, and they talked about how there is no safe space, there is only a brave space. And you're surrounded by people who allow you to be brave and support you to be brave. And I think that's kind of it kind of captures the whole Two Row experience, that you have to be brave to ask for help, and you have to be brave to step out of your comfort zone and offer help and connect with people that you've never connected with before. So it's been I'm grateful for the last few days, and they created some I guess brave space for me to take some risks today and jump into making applications for another level of education. And so we'll see where that goes, but that's my gratitude today. And I will pass it over to Nancy.
Okay, so I'm grateful for family and for health of family and for a new baby joining our family in another 7 weeks. And my daughter is expecting. And I'm grateful that we are not income challenged at this time. I have a job that we've been remote for, well, since March. My husband's not working right now, but we're okay with what I make, so we can get by, and we are fine with this quiet lifestyle. So we're not feeling overly challenged. We enjoy our walks in the woods and just kind of hanging out and touching base with the kids, and life is good. And is there anyone left to still pass on to? Ellie?
I guess it's just me.
Oh, just you. Okay, back to you, Jay.
Yeah. I'm very grateful for the last couple of weeks. I'm grateful to have a really supportive partner, and with whom this time together has been like an extended marriage enrichment course. And all the things that I've been able to help bring to completion over the last couple of weeks, videos and conferences and workshops, and it's been a busy time, and I have a sense of accomplishment that I haven't felt for a while. So that's been very good. Yeah, that's it. And I'm also really grateful for the opportunity to get together like this. It's just such a blessing that that we have this technology at this point in time. It's people can get really tired of it, some really fast, but it's an incredible way to connect. What's next on the agenda, Paddle Sister?
Okay, well, item number 1 was just a little bit of a dialogue about what Tour on the Grand 2021 is going to look like. And as we all know, there is, in the very near future, closer than we expected, a vaccine coming out. And we're waiting to see how that's going to roll out. Of course, I won't go into a long diatribe. I'm sure you're all aware of what's happening in Canada, and more importantly in Ontario, in terms of how we're going to manage this pandemic as we move forward. But, Jay and I were talking about what will 2021 look like. And we have set the dates for the traditional paddle. Jay, do you want to just throw in what those dates are?
Easy to remember, July 21st to 29th. 9 days, 21 to 9.
Thank you. Okay, so that's, if all systems are go, we are looking at that time. And we will be posting it on our website. Oh, it's already there. And I believe it has been on our Facebook page. We won't change that. It'll remain that way. And what we need to do and determine is, should we have to do another modified program like we did this summer? We will probably wait till at least the end of March to determine that. And the reason being, just from the work that I need to do, is by the end of March, campgrounds start to open, and I can then book the campgrounds that I need to book. And of course, if there's still restrictions on group camping and that kind of thing, I won't be able to do that. So, we're going to take the lead of what we are allowed to do. And really that's what we have to worry about, is the pandemic and how we are going to manage it. Last year, we turned it into a single day paddle, I believe, by the end of May. And it turned out really nicely, I think, to have these day-to-day paddles spread out through the months, through the summer. I think people felt safe. We certainly didn't have any people coming down with COVID. We were all very, very respectful and physically distant from each other, and engaging in the paddle the best way that we could. And if we need to do that again, we will, but we're just keeping our fingers crossed. So I thought somebody had a comment here.
Yes. Mike said, how about making it a theme paddle? And I have an idea what the theme might be.
So let's turn it over to Mike.
Yeah.
A theme paddle sounds interesting.
Can you see this? Can you all see that?
Don't know what it is.
Is those milkweed buds?
No. Nope.
No.
I'll
Milkweed
tell you
buds.
what it is.
Ah.
How about making it a theme paddle about on our way down the river, we start in certain places and go on excursions to look for turtle socks. This is turtle socks. It's also called pitcher plant. The Crees call it frog pants. And turtle socks has been told by our seers around here to be something that we could use for COVID. And the idea is that back in the 1800s, pitcher plant, or turtle socks, we call it Anowarodes in Mohawk, and it just literally means turtle socks, but they don't know what the actual herbal name for this particular medicine was. And it grows around marshy areas and rocky areas all around this area. People will say that it only comes from northern Ontario, but no, it grows around here, Coots Paradise, but as well as along the Grand River. And I know we've had that discussion. So why don't we make it a theme and say one of the expedition will be to find turtle socks. Why? Because turtle socks mixed with golden thread, mixed with white pine, mixed with wild ginger or snake root, they call it, is what has been told by some of our seers to be something that can help us with COVID. I won't go into the pharmaceuticals of that, but I'll just say that there's something about this that has always intrigued me, which is that turtle socks or pitcher plant was used in the 1800s by our people out west as a remedy for smallpox. And as a remedy for smallpox, the question is, they would actually make it into a liquid medicine that would be ingested. They would also make it into a salve that would be put on the smallpox pustules. But the question is, does the virus eat it or does it eat the virus? So we don't know. But anyway, if you look in the medical journals for turtle socks and pitcher plant, here's almost uniformly what the medical journals say. Has not been verified by laboratory testing.
Right.
That tells you what? It works and it's free because it grows wild. Anyway, this is just one example of something that we might look for on our make it a medicine trip then. That would be the theme. Let's go look for medicines. Take people who know herbal medicines and where to pick them. And as we go down the river, we find medicines that we could use. That's my idea.
I want to say Nyawa because I've had so many people talk to me about turtle socks and nobody could tell me what it was, but they did say that it was for COVID. So now that I have that context, I have somewhere to go with that. Thanks.
So
Any-
that's our possible 2021. The two different scenarios, as we said, was traditional, like you're all used to, or another COVID modified one. Mike, I like that theme paddle, and I know there are people in our community who would love to paddle along and help us along that way. So I've definitely jotted that down. And you know, Lori has also said that certainly piques her interest, and I'm sure we could draw in people from the community as well to be able to make that happen. So appreciate your comments.
And that could
What a
work for either version.
On an Onquarorge, we're going to look for medicine.
Mhm.
I would like to see maybe a hybrid of both. So maybe it's a traditional, if we can do the traditional 9-day paddle from start to finish, but I think there is real value in those 1-day legs. And maybe we need to do both. And I know that sounds like a huge undertaking, but the 1 days would be like we did this summer, where it's bring your own, you do your own stuff. It's just we put in together and take out together kind of thing. But I think you know, kind of connecting to what Mike was talking about, it would be nice to be more leisurely in some aspect, and to be able to take the time to really stop and look at what's happening beside us. I mean, there's such a pace that gets set, and it can be overwhelming sometimes. And we're not really in the moment of, you know, reflecting on what we're seeing around us and getting those teachings from the water's perspective, like from on the water. And I think that's a gap that I've noticed in the past. And maybe it's just because I'm not as strong a paddler, but you know, to be able to just say, you know, it would have been nice to slow down in that spot to be able to see or pick or whatever, if we noted there were things and there just wasn't time, right? Because, you know, we're trying to keep up and keep on track and that kind of thing. So I think that consideration would be a really good addition. And I'm just noticing we have 4 minutes left in this.
Yes.
And so there's a public relations aspect of this too that is totally two-row. Is this just a native medicine? Do we keep it to ourselves so that we can be healed? Or do we share it with the wider population and say, Lisa, Nancy, and Buffy, and all of those people who join us, Jay, you are actually indigenous to one earth with the rest of us. So let's talk about that, because there's some kind of a thing about giving our native medicine to the non-native that I just kind of go, when I hear that I think that's racism myself personally. I think that this is something that we can then go to our contacts and say, how would you like to support us when we go and investigate something that we think from our culture is going to be a great support for the fight against COVID?
Hi, this is Buffy, and I just want to thank both Mike and Lori, because I really appreciate the input. The idea of having a theme like that is really powerful. And it does give us the opportunity to pay attention to the shorelines and to the beauty of what the river has to offer. And Lori, I too have felt this sense of, we didn't get to come last year. So the opportunity to take the time to see where we are and what we're doing and to take that in is so valuable. I understand, you know, we needed to get from point A to point B, but the idea of being able to slow it down and really take in what Mother Earth has to offer us would be a huge gift. And how we do that logistically, I'm not sure. But, and being invited into, as an ally, as a non-native person, being invited into learning the medicines would be just fabulous.
Yeah, I agree. It would be fabulous. And I'm certainly hoping Canada is going to let us in by next summer.
Yeah, we hope
Yeah,
so.
certainly hope so.
We may lose you, but thank you.
We have less than a minute before clicking in again.
So when we come back after re-clicking, we'll go on to item number 2. And I want to thank everybody for their input because, you know, it's just been me and Jay for the little while, and it's really good to hear perspectives and ideas. When we come back after zooming back in, we're going to get updates about the University of Toronto and McMaster University, just 2 of the things that we've been working on lately. So Lori, I hope you're going to remain with us. If we could ask you to talk about our recent U of T Indigenous Health Conference. So can we turn it over to you?
Sure. Let's go and come back.
Nice.
We have to lead the way somehow. Anyway, so the Indigenous Health Conference is a conference that the University of Toronto has put on since 2014. It was annual first couple of years, and then it went to every other year. So we had submitted to present about the Turo initiative at the Chiefs of Ontario Health Conference back in February, and we did that just before COVID hit the world, or as COVID was starting to hit the world. And we had also submitted to present at the Indigenous Health Conference through University of Toronto. And it was supposed to happen in May in Niagara Falls in person. And that was, of course, put away. But they decided to have it go last week, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, in a virtual format. It was a bit different platform than Zoom, but we were able to pull together a presentation and revise our presentation COVID style. And so Jay and Ellie, Kelly Gordon was our organizer and our you know, what you call it, moderator. And then Melissa Jonathan also presented. So Jay, myself, Ellie, and Melissa and Kelly presented. I think we had almost an hour, and we had what, 35 people or more. 38 people, I think, almost 40 people in our presentation. So we did have, I think Jay and Ellie can talk about sort of what's happened since then, but we were able to share all of our experiences and some very emotional moments for myself, at least, and Ellie as well. I don't know why it tends to bubble up. I guess it's just the passion about the impact that the Turo has. So we did generate some interest from a variety of areas. And so I think it was very well done, and just appreciative that we were able to share the effect, I guess, that the Turo continues to have on everyone who partakes in it. So I think that's about it for me.
Ellie and I
Excellent.
were really appreciative of everything that the medical team added in, and particularly Melissa picked up on things that we had been wanting to say but didn't have the time for in our 5-minute slot. And she really covered some very important stuff. Did a great job.
Thank you for that update, Lori. Yes, it was recorded. I'm not sure when it's going to roll out. Maybe Lori can give more of an update, or Kelly Gordon can get back to us. But yes, it was recorded, and apparently it will be somewhere for 6 months. Is that correct?
Yeah,
Oh, nice.
we'll have to get the permission probably, because it was part of the conference. So anybody who attended the conference can go back and watch all the presentations for 6 months. But I would imagine we can record it somehow and get it up on the website.
That'd be good.
Thank you, Lori, and to all the health team. It just really makes us feel, not that we don't feel like doing it again, but it just amplifies that feeling. So we're really, really grateful for the connections that we have. Jay, I thought Bonnie would be here tonight, but could you speak about the McMaster University project?
Yeah. Bonnie is working together with Dr. Daniel someone or other at McMaster. And you'll recognize this scene, Dr. Mike, I think. Oh, maybe that's not the one.
I think I do.
They were putting together a resource on living the two-row wampum. And we were invited to contribute a written piece, and if we wanted to, a video piece as well. And so we did both. And we were able to get it in by the deadline. The first ones, we got the prize. And yeah, I'm very pleased with what we were able to put together. And so
nice.
Yeah, it was about how we got started and how it continues, and our COVID adaptation. And
which is important.
yeah, and yeah, the video has some. Ellie and I spoke our written text plus other observations as well. So yeah, I think it went well. And then we were also invited by Janet Zanuto to address her Brock University class by Zoom. And that was a real treat too. And it was so good to connect with Janet again and to be, sharing this work again with her. That was very special. She was one of the core four who got us started in 2016.
Excellent.
Thank you, Jay. We're looking forward to that. The narrative that we did do is going to be published, and I think they gave us a date of 2022. And certainly we will share what we have at that time, but it's sort of like hurry up and meet the deadline and now wait. So, and now we wait.
Yeah.
So,
and we're thinking that it's not as though McMaster owns that video that we put together. So we should be able to share that on our Facebook page or on our YouTube channel.
Yeah. So thank you, Lori, and thank you, Jay. Next thing I'd like to talk about, I hope Mike is still here, because I finally got a phone call from Sonia, who is a colleague of Mike's at Ryerson. She spoke to me at length about questions of the Turo last week. And one of the things that she would like to do with her journalism class is to bring over students from Israel, her home country, to Canada for a Canadian experience. And her words were, I don't want to just take them to Niagara Falls. And I'm very intrigued by the Turo on the Grand. And so we had dialogue and talked about logistics and that kind of thing, and talked about different scenarios with COVID. And of course, you know, she would be looking after whether they can even enter the country at that time. We don't know what things look like, but she is going to get back to me. I gave her some links to check out in terms of what that would look like for her. And of course, if we do the 9-day paddle, she can certainly find all of that information. But if we do a single day paddle summer, then she wouldn't have all of her students here, you know, those whole 3 months as we go through the summer. She's thinking of more like a 10-day trip for them. Thinking more of a 10-day trip for them. And so what I came up with for her was, if she can't make it sync with the dates that we've already set, perhaps we could create a smaller group and network with community and provide these students, journalism students, by hosting them in some way, shape, or form, which would include paddling and which would include cultural teachings. So Mike, I believe you were the one that spoke with Sonia about the Turo, and she did get in touch with me the other day. So we're really excited for that to happen.
All I can speak to it is that Sonia Fateh works in the teaches journalism at Ryerson in the same faculty that I do, and she lives in Hamilton, and we ride on the train from Aldershot back when there was no social distancing and everything wasn't closed down. We began talking about this a long time ago, and I left it with her to get in contact with Ellie to say, what can we do to facilitate, you know? And it ranges from very simple things like the corn soup. We don't put any pork in the corn soup. We put squash in. Let's start there. And then whatever else we do after that is about, you know, the idea we're one of the lost tribes of Israel that came over here and all of that kind of stuff. We don't know yet, but that was the idea. I left it with her, and that out of that may generate something, a product that we have to think about too, is that would it generate a documentary about the state of Israel, sending some students to visit with us, and what do we find about that? All of that is still just talk right now, but that's where it started. And that's the kind of stuff we talked about on the train, right? Well, what could happen anyways? And I left it with that. I don't know where you want to go with that. You probably, are you going to have more conversations with her, with Sonia?
Oh, absolutely. Yes, we definitely are. She was in the same state as you were, you know, madly wrapping up her class and getting ready to do all her administration marking and all of those things. So we did say once things quieted down for her, we would absolutely be, you know, be talking again and again. But I did give her links to, you know, Turo on the Grand, of course, and Grand River rafting if they're going to be renting canoes. And I gave her links to Chiefswood in case they want to, you know, rent cabins and stay for a duration. And, you know, we can certainly help with logistics. And if we call upon paddlers to paddle with these students that come in, we can work all of that out, but we are going to have more of a dialogue. And I really appreciate you spreading the word for us. That just, we're looking forward to all of that. Jay, do you have anything more? I know I talked to you briefly about that.
Yeah, I'm excited about it. It's a great sort of connection, an international connection that can't help but raise the profile of what we do. Not interested in attracting tons more people, but just for people to know that this kind of thing is going on, and that you know, like we've said many times, we'd be willing to consult with people on helping them helping them make it happen wherever they are. So, yeah.
Thank you. I'll just briefly speak and let everyone know the last couple of paddles that we had, or maybe some of the paddles that we had over the summer, we had engaged with Ganokwashra. Ganokwashra is a family violence center here at Six Nations. And if you were in some of those day paddles, you probably may recall Eddie, who paddled with Jay in the canoe, and Jen, who was also present to be our ground support, and she brought along some snacks and some lovely strawberry juice for us. And Michelle, who was taking photographs of the journey, and that's how they were involved this year. And I sat down with Jen not too long ago, and they're really excited about moving forward and what we can do to work together next year. So in the new year, I guess, Jay, you and I will be sitting down with some of those folks and seeing where that's going to roll out. But it's exciting because, again, there's another community engagement. So
yes,
looking forward to that. Going on to number 5, we're going to talk about the video edits that are going on now. Because of COVID, we had to we did not take registration money from anyone, and so we did not support registrations from community members. So a portion of our ECDEV, we just certainly said we would not be needing it this year. We are very thankful that they urged us to reapply and use the budget that we were granted for cultural teachings. And so in the background, you can see there one of our community members and the work that we've been doing over the summer. This is a family, very well-known family. They spent an afternoon with us, a young man with his siblings here, and his mother came out, and we were able to do some video clips. And Mike was another one that we had a teaching from Mike. And Michelle Thomas, you may know her. Ronnie Thomas, you may know him because we've had them before. And Terry Lynn Brent, working on food security, very interesting lady. And so where we are right now is we're taking that Six Nations Economic Development Trust money, and we have been able to get these people coming in and giving us teachings. And now we're awaiting for them to complete their being edited so that we can put them up on our Facebook page. So I believe today I got an update from the girls. Some of you may know Layla Black from the community. She's working on editing them, and she only has 2 left to do. And then we'll take a look at what we need to do before we put them up. But we're excited for that. And Six Nations Development Trust Fund has really, really helped us in the past. And they were gracious enough to say, hey, Ellie, we want you to still do these cultural teachings. And between Jay and myself, and we were able to narrow down some people to come in and, set afternoon and evening chats with people. And so they will be coming, and we're excited to share that with everybody, just to keep everybody engaged. And I know a lot of people were saying over the summer, we missed the cultural teachings. So I'm glad we were able to bring some of that in. Jay,
And,
anything else about the video edits? Trip
yeah,
clips? Trip
we
clips?
were, yes, the TRED Talks are the cultural teachings on our YouTube channel. The YouTube channel is Two Row Info, and it'll be TRED Talks, where only the people who have the link from the Facebook page will be able to see them. Okay, since they're cultural teachings, we're not making them public to everybody. And then we're going to have trip clips from each day's paddle. We've got a couple days up there now, and more are coming. Let's see now. Yeah, that about covers that, I think. And should we? I guess we should make our McMaster video public.
Oh, absolutely.
Yes. So that wouldn't go in TRED Talks. That'll just go with the other videos that we have up.
You worked very hard on that. So I just want everybody that's here to know that Jay pulled an all-nighter and met some deadlines, and he's become quite the expert in putting video together. So I know everybody's going to really like what he's been doing. And Paddle Brother, you're the best. Moving on to item number 6, the website. It's been shut down, but I'll let Jay take over again here and talk
Okay.
to us about the website, please.
Yeah, the website was set up for us by through the Red Door, and the fellow who set it up was paying for the domain name and everything, and we told him that we'd like to take that over, but we didn't hear back from him, and for years it just kept being renewed, and then all of a sudden we noticed it wasn't up. The website wasn't there. And so checking into that individual, Ellie knows that there's a bit of a family crisis going on. We didn't really want to add to the problem. So we got in touch with Daniel Allen, who has volunteered his expertise a number of times in different ways. And I knew that he had a copy of our website at one time. He took an image of it from an Internet Archive site. That's what he does for a living, is he does websites. So I asked him if he still had it, and if it could be revived, and whether it would have to be done on WordPress or something else. And he says, "Oh, I'll just put it up on one of the virtual servers that I use for my websites, and the only cost will be the domain name, which is $15 to $30, and time." And so we told him, "Yeah, let's do that." So that's going to be up and running pretty soon. I told him it'd be good to have it there for the holidays, because there'll be people sitting around thinking, I wonder what I'd like to do in the summer. So yeah, that's good. The Facebook group is going pretty well. It's reasonably good for putting out news, but things move down the page so quickly that like for this meeting, I had to post it as an announcement so people would continue to see it. I think that's all the tech stuff.
Thank you so much. And you notice I never add anything to the tech stuff, because It's not my strength.
Mhm.
It's not my strength. Um, job well done, Paddle Brother.
Yes, Mike?
Is there a place where we can have a conversation with Daniel about this? Because the idea of WordPress and creating a domain that's served over the internet does not have a server like Google or so on. So you type in two-row comes to the top. When it's a private domain, you only have the www dot whatever, and whoever has that can log in. But it's not in a public domain, which means also though that we're limited in getting our message out, because through those servers we can put blogs in there, we can put different categories of information in there, and actually have the Two Row and the Grand Facebook site in there,
Mhm.
Two and the Grand Row News Paddle, and then of course dedicated areas for administrators and these types of meetings as well. So I think there's a place, and I'd be willing to participate in a conversation
Mhm.
with making sure that it's done professionally and right, but also with the idea that we come back to the committee and say, would you like this to be a public domain, so that when Two Row is typed in, we pop up to the top of the
Mhm.
search. And there's a
Yeah.
certain wording way to do that, so that Two Row becomes the global worldwide web
Mhm.
Internet of Things stuff.
Yes.
Two Row
yes.
shows up, and there's
Yeah.
Lori, and there's Andrea, and there's Ellie, and there's Buffy and Lisa and Jay. Their faces show up right there. Hi, welcome to Two Row. Anyway, so if you have that conversation with Daniel and you decide that you want to put a committee together to just look after the IT aspect of this,
Mhm.
that has little to do with the content, that's up to you all, what goes in there.
Mm.
Setting up the building the table for you to put the buffet on is what I'd be interested in doing.
All the connectivity, yes, yeah. I think Daniel's up on that, but I think it'd be good to have you there to make sure.
I do that with my students because we do blogs, we do online expositions where we used to do
Mhm.
poster fairs, that kind of a poster fair where students do that. We don't do that now in a room where they all do their poster card. It's all done electronically, and it looks
Mhm.
like a website, right? So it's a lot of
No. Okay.
I'll leave
sounds
that
good.
to you guys. But it would be nice to just have like you say, a menu, and build on that, and what would we include in that buffet, right? So yeah, Mike, thanks for coming into that. And
Can I leave that to Jay to take forward and then include me in the conversation when he gets the time and gets it set up? I'd be willing to do that. I'll
Okay.
leave that with Jay, right?
Yep.
Okay.
I'll connect with you on that.
okay, our last item is just an update on the Economic Development Trust Fund. And we don't know what 2021 is going to do in terms of the Economic Development Trust Fund application process. Generally, at this time of year, we would already have applied, and we would already have made our presentation. And any time this week, we would be actually going toward the board and giving them our oral presentation. And of course, none of that has happened. So right now, economic development doesn't know what direction they're going in because of the pandemic. And we patiently wait to see what that's going to look like and if there is a call for applications. So I'm just letting people know that that's where we are with that. But saying that as well, we do have some not funding, we do have some money in our bank account that we can move forward, I think, fairly comfortably, I think, in 2021. And we'll just see what things look like when we're called to apply again. So hopefully that happens this year, but it remains up in the air. So that pretty much closes the formal things that we had. And if anyone else, will open it up now. If anyone else has things to add, things that are on your mind, suggestions, things that you'd like to share that we haven't discussed, or questions, raise your hand and or unmute, and we'll take it from there.
You go, Mike.
I have a question with you about all these special initiatives that we've been talking about. It leads towards formal organization. In other words, here's the Sonia Fateh project with the Israeli students. So it's a project. You can go for funding. It uses a two-row on the Grand River name to apply for funding to do whatever they do. And other projects. I mean, this to me is something that needs to be talked about how the two-row on the Grand in July, 9 days from Cambridge to Port Maitland. I get it. Now all this other stuff is going up, and that takes an organizational structure. And I want to know whether two-row on the Grand wants to go that way, because that means we're institutionalizing now, you know, and that's something that I would like an answer to, what people feel about that.
I'm reminded of Healthy Roots and ownership, you know, of the initiative, and I think it's kind of tying into what Mike's talking about of you know, how much can you take from, or how much can one co-opt the 2RL on the Grand initiative, and where does that ownership, I guess, kind of start and stop, because those projects then touch on that component of it. And I know it, you know, it is something that has to have some formal discussion and thought put into it.
I'd like to pose it to everybody too, because the Sonia Fateh project is a nice idea, but is there a decision that has to be made by two on the Grand? No, we're not going to do that. We're going to do our 9 days and fill that full of our program that we decide to run. I mean, that's kind of what we're talking about, I think.
There was a point at which we hired a grant writer to apply for grants for us, and we didn't get any. But yeah, if there was a project like that specifically, we'd have a much better chance. In terms of building an organization where we can launch projects like that on a regular basis, I don't think Ellie and I are, well, speaking for myself, that's not a place I really wanted to go. I'd be happy if there were other people who would be interested in taking on that sort of role, and I would be supportive. Personally, I'd like to stick to organizing the paddle.
What I did say to Sonia in our conversation was that if they could do the whole 9 days, certainly we would be willing to include them in that itinerary. And I also spoke to Jay. If it wasn't a good time for them, would the two of us have some kind of input, or would we be willing to provide guidance toward planning? And Jay and I have always said that with these health conferences and things like that. Yes, we would be there to give you, you know, a framework of perhaps what needs to be done, but we wouldn't be the grant writers. We wouldn't be, you know, we don't want to be involved in that, because the 9-day paddle is really, it does overwhelm, but we certainly would be there. So, for example, with the Israeli students, the students coming in for next year from Sonia's group, what I said to her is, if she could get the proposal, whatever at her end, because that's what she said she was going to be working on. I said Truro on the Grand would certainly be supportive, and we could find safety paddlers to accompany them if they wish to do, you know, their own 5-day or their own 7-day. We could certainly help them and make contact that way and share knowledge with them, and in caterers and that kind of thing, campgrounds. So we would be willing to do that. But yeah, that's, Jade, am I answering for the discussion that we had the other day?
Yes, that sums it up nicely.
So in essence, providing some support, but also a template that they could then follow.
Yeah.
And that's the question I have, is it the Truro on the Grand Educational Institute, and one of our programs is the July Paddle and all these other stuff, or is this Truro on the Grand and that's what we do? That's all we do. We don't do any of this other stuff, you know, except maybe as consultants to other people that wanted to paddle the Grand. I don't know if I'm being clear or being vague there, but is it Truro? What is Truro on the Grand anyway? Is it a registered nonprofit? Is it anything except a bank account?
It is a grassroots, volunteer-driven initiative.
With a bank account?
Yes, we do have a business bank account.
Yeah, so it's not registered or anything. So this is all we do, right? Yeah, so I get it. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, registering it was going to take a lot of work.
Well, without Share Capital Corporation is $1,200. A lawyer writes up some documents that's registered as a charity. You get money, you can give out a number and all that stuff, right? And if we're not doing that, I'm okay with that as a voluntary grassroots organization, but that means we should really focus in.
Mm-hmm.
And if it's Truro on the Grand, July, 2 weeks or 9 days in July, then that's what we do, and nothing else.
I mean, we host a 2-day reunion, right?
Mm.
We could do a group of Israeli students for 5 days. Like we would, Jay and I would certainly help to make that happen.
And I
We
think
wouldn't. Go ahead.
As a deal guy in show business, this is what I say to Sonia Fateh. If you're going to make the nature of things documentary on this, and you're going to get funding, then you hire Jay and Ellie, and that's up to them to do it. It has nothing to do with Truro on the Grand. You're hiring Jay and Ellie to be your consultants to set it up for you. That's the way I would work it. It's nice that they're contacting you, right? But they get $300,000 to do a 15-minute documentary on a bunch of Israeli students coming over to paddle down the Grand River with one of the lost tribes of Israel. And who are their consultants? Ellie and Jay. And what does Ellie and Jay do? We would like them to meet cultural people on the way down the river as we paddle. It's not a Truro, it's about, you know, the Israeli students paddling down the Truro. And I think that's has to be clarified with Sonia, which is this: you're coming to Truro on the Grand. We will consult with you, but only as individuals. If you can fit into our 9 days, that would be really great. But if you can't do that, then it's separate from that, and we will be your consultant to set up the camping grounds and anything that you need. I think that's part of the deal. You could make good loot too. You guys could be famous. If you get on the nature of things, you'll be on CBC. You'll be all over the world. Here she is from the Grand River, Ellie Joseph.
Well, you know, Mike, we did try out for the Amazing Race a few years ago and we didn't even get
I just wanted to second the comment that some others made earlier about having enough time and not feeling rushed. Sean is at work right now, but he has said the same thing to me a couple of times too. And we're not the greatest, as you remember, we're not the strongest paddlers either, but Sean remembers wishing he had a little more time to take in the moment and remembers feeling a little rushed and trying, focusing so hard. He was putting himself under a little bit of stress, pressure to keep up the pace and not hold up the back of the line. And so yeah, but I'm just seconding the other comments that other people made on that too.
Mhm.
I'm just making note of that, Andrea. Thank you for your points.
Just to let you know, my Zoom link died and I had to log back in.
Yeah,
Well,
they all,
happened to
Oh,
all
we
of
all did.
yeah. We're on our third 40-minute period.
Can I make a suggestion that if you would like Bonnie or I to have McMaster or Ryerson organize the Zooms, we should set that up as part of your IT thing, since you're the IT chairman of the IT committee now, Jay.
Yeah. Actually, I'm going to be taking my Voyager presentations online, and I think I'll be buying a Zoom membership as part of my business.
Yeah, because I know that when I do classes, I mean, I can set up the whole 13 weeks with a link, and you just pop in. It goes on your Google Calendar every Monday night at 7 o'clock on your Google Calendar. You click it, and here you are. No passwords, no ID, no nothing, right? You're just there. So I'll leave that with you to see if Bonnie or I, if until you get set up, would be use our institutional IT, which is, mega, like we got mega stuff.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Is there anything further to discuss?
I just wanted to say I really support the whole concept of learning more about the river, both the medicinal plants or maybe edible plants, and anything else relevant about the river and its waterways and the history of sections of its waterways. Like we had a few discussions at the one paddle about the dams and the history of the dams. Just different ways that the waterways were used over history.
That is very interesting. Very interesting. I'm just writing these notes down, Nancy, for other, outreach we can make for other cultural teachings. So yeah, thank you.
Sure, and when we camp in Brantford at Ganada Village and we get off at the canal there, I can take you over to Mohawk Lake, which is one of the main feeder channels into the canal that went for the towpath into the city of Brantford. That is part of the major land claim now that says by the people of Six Nations that the treaty debt on the Grand River Valley alone is $900 billion. And so we only want a little wee bit to do our paddle in July, and we're not going to ask for the whole 900 billion, blah, 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 blah.
There's also a very beautiful pavilion now at the Mush Hole. Beautiful, beautiful thing. And I know they're putting in some architectural details there and landscaping, and it'll be exciting to see. And maybe we could do, some kind of a connection there next summer. So that's exciting too. Lots of ideas going on here, folks.
How many of you have watched The Queen's Gambit on Netflix?
Oh, that's on my list.
Oh, you have to watch that. What about
I watched it literally last week, and then we had a team meeting at work, and what was the topic of conversation? That show.
And it's an interesting version of what would happen at a boarding school. That's the fascinating thing about it is I thought, wow, they should have made this movie about Indian residential schools. Anyway, I'll leave it at that.
Mhm.
And what about Good Lord Bird? Have you seen that one?
No.
Another good one. It's about the start of the Civil War, where black people came on the Underground Railroad over to Canada and went to Chatham. But it's a drama as well. I just bring it up for fun. It's
Yeah.
Well, you know what I did last week? If anybody's interested, I paddled from Caledonia to Cayuga, and the water was, like maybe 3 or 4 degrees, I'm guessing. And I thought, okay, I'm going to go, but I'll wear my rubber boots in case I have to get out and skateboard over the mussel beds and the rocks and that kind of thing, the rock shoals. But I looked at the Grand River Conservation Area website, and they had let water out at Bellwood, Shandam area, and certainly the water levels came up. I got from Caledonia to Cayuga with only one minor scrape over a mussel bed. Other than that, it was fast flow. There was no getting out of the canoe or getting out of the kayak or pushing through. I was there in record time, man. It was beautiful. So there's still some opportunities to paddle. If anybody wants to know, I'd love to do the Oxbow, actually, just because that's such a quiet paddle. But if anybody's down, if it's cold, we could do shorter paddles, still in.
My Christmas list might be next year's Christmas list is cold weather gear so that we can paddle all winter. But for now, I think ours are put away because I don't feel that I have the right gear in case of incident. Stepping out and pushing my boat through, yeah, no problem at all with that. I know a few incidents that have happened further up north that I'm not quite ready to jump in the water again until things warm up a little bit without knowing I have the appropriate gear.
And in 2024, we're going to have 2 row on the Grand in February for the hardy paddler.
So our club does a January paddle.
There you go.
Oh.
Yeah, they start somewhere around Elora, and I can't remember where they go to, Paris, I think.
Cool.
If the water's open. They had to cancel it last year because the water was frozen over in too many areas.
Global warming is pretty fun, eh?
Yeah, but it's a small group that goes, and they all have dry suits and everything. So
it's faster water there, so it doesn't freeze up as easily.
Yeah, well, the problem is that it had frozen in some areas, and there was a drowning up outside of Fergus with some experienced paddlers where they hit a section that was frozen over and flipped and got caught under the ice.
Oh, geez.
So yeah, not not in my comfort zone. Thank you very much.
Were they people from your club?
No, but the people in our club did know them, but they weren't part of our club. But apparently they were like level 2 instructors, had all the right equipment and everything else. And they said they found the boats. And then eventually they found them.
A little overconfident.
Are we about ready to run down now? Because I want to share a video with you. If Jay could make me a co-host for a little couple minutes.
Sure.
Yeah.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah.
Okay, you should be able to go now.
Yeah, I don't have can you optimize the screen on your end?
Let's see. I
go to share. I got
sharing options.
I can share computer sound, but I can't optimize the screen on my side. Is that you?
Huh. Let's see, video settings.
No, just when you hit the green button that says share.
Yeah.
And then there's 2 little tabs on the lower left-hand side that says share computer sound, optimize screen share for video clip.
Let's see. Well, that's if I'm going to share my desktop.
Okay, well, let me try it and see if it works. If not, I'll blank out. Okay, here we go.
The optimized screen share is ghosted. I don't
Yeah,
seem to be
mine
able
too.
to use that.
All right, let me see what happens. Here we go.
Okay.
Got it.
Yeah.
What kind of tree is it, Duda?
The tree of great peace. The peacemaker gave the great laws of peace to the Iroquois in the dark times, many years ago. Hiawatha spoke for the peacemaker.
You chiefs have brought ruin and despair to your children through war. We must fling this burning demon into the underground river to be carried away forever. Peace now. Peace. And the power of the great peace drove the evil from them.
Does the Great Peace still have power?
You're here, aren't you?
Love it. I think I've seen that on TV.
Yeah, I've seen that too.
Yeah,
That-
yeah.
That's the original Christmas story. By the way, in 1992, in the 500-year anniversary of Columbus, whoa, where the 500-year anniversary of Columbus, there were a bunch of major motion pictures made, 35 millimeter films, The Mission, you name it, all of them were made. That 1 minute was the only minute made that year that was written, co-produced, and co-directed by a native.
Mm.
And it is about the start of the Great Law Confederacy, but it also shows you where the Christmas tree came from. That's ours. Oh, by the way, I was that guy that wrote, produced, and directed it, by the way.
You were.
Very nice.
Oh, congratulations.
Very nice.
Very well done. That's a
Wow,
lot.
you're famous.
Yeah, it's a lot to pack into a minute.
Nobody knows that though, right?
No.
Well, we do.
You know, it's
Yeah.
the star, that's producers. Nobody knows the name of the producer. They know the
Mm.
name of the stars, right?
I think I saw Graham Greene in there.
Yeah.
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 No, he's not
No?
in there. That's Mark Miracle, actually.
Oh, well,
Yeah.
okay.
Mark Miracle
Mm.
lived next door in that house to Ellie Joseph 25 years ago.
Wow.
Mark Miracle.
Yeah, John Miracle's son. Remember
Oh, for
John?
goodness sake. Yeah.
Old John.
Old
his,
John.
That was his son who was playing Hiawatha.
Mm.
Really?
Mm, mm, mm.
Oh
The,
my goodness.
the irony of that movie is that all those guys there that were the wicked chiefs were all members of the the dreaded warrior society, eh?
Irony, irony, irony.
Well,
That's funny.
And I wanted to share that with you though because of the message. It's my Christmas card to you all.
oh, thank
Thank
you.
you.
Very
Ew.
nice.
Oh, no, Yahweh.
Well, if there's no further ado, anyone else have anything? Then I would like to say, I hope everyone has a very safe Christmas. And we move into 2021 with that same gratitude that we shared tonight, that gratitude carries and holds us up. And ring in the new year in a COVID style. And I'm looking forward to 2021 and what it's going to bring to me. And I just want to thank everybody for Zooming in with us tonight, because sometimes it's been just me and Paddle Brothers. So it's been good to have the numbers tonight.
And we'll have a recording of this one too. So since Leah
There we
requested
go.
it, I guess we could put it up on our Facebook page, or
Mhm.
should we put it on YouTube? I guess I'll start a new playlist.
You're the IT guru for two. You decide, Jay.
Yeah. I'll put it up. I'll start a new playlist for Two Road Gatherings.
Okay.
Sounds good.
It was great to see you all. Thanks. It was good to talk and catch up.
Yeah, good to see you again, Andrea and Nancy and Mike
Good to
and
see
Paddle
everyone.
Sister.
Good night, everybody.
Okay,
Good
good night.
night.
Good night.
And be safe and healthy through the holidays.
And you too.